This is lesson 98 in Saxon's Algebra 1 3rd edition. This lesson covers two things. First, the distance between 2 points, how to find that distance, and secondly, slope formula. There's a formula to find the slope of a line. Alright, so I've got this graph here and it's got a triangle, but it's got a line basically from A to B. And we're going to be asked to find what is the distance between A and B. Well, there's a way that you do that. And the way you do that is we're going to use Pythagorean theorem that we learned in our last lesson, whether that was yesterday or whatever. And we're going to find out how many units it is from A to C and then from C to B. And we'll see that when we count, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is 8 on this side. And here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's see, did I do that right? 1 from here to here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, so this is 9. Alright, so we use and this line here, AB, line AB, is our hypotenuse because we've got our right angle down here where C is. So we're going to say 8 squared plus 9 squared equals C squared. And we're going to let this be C, the distance. 8 squared is 64. 9 squared is 81 equals C, the square root of C. Alright, 5 and 145 equals the square root of C. So C is equal to the square root of 145. And 145 can be factored. So 145, let's say we use a 5 there. That would be 2 and 9. Well, it can't be factored then. Then the distance between those 2 points A and B would be the square root of 145. Alright, in this one, you can see we've got 4 units down, they've already counted it for us, and 3 units across. So if we say 4 squared plus 3 squared equals our distance, C squared. This is 16. This is 9. The square root of C. This is 25 equals the square root of C. So the square root of 25 would equal C. And the square root of 25 is 5. Now, had you remembered your triple, you would see 3, 4, oops, this has to be 5, and save yourself all this work right here. So it's handy to know your triples. Okay, and this is another one that you see we have 6 units here. This is where our right angle is, and we have 8 units up from B to C, C to B. Then if you know your triples again, you can save yourself the work and know that one of the triples is 6, 8, 10. So C is equal to 10. And that really it's really easy. That's how you find the distance of a line between 2 points. You use Pythagorean theorem. All right, now this is the second part of this lesson, and it's slope formula. The formula for a line is y equals mx plus b. B, we know, is the y-intercept. It's the point where, it's our starting point. It's where we start on the y-axis. M, y and x are our points. M is our slope, and M will have to always be in the form of a fraction. And even if it's not a fraction, we would need to make it a fraction so that we would know what to do. And we can make it a fraction by simply putting a 1 underneath it. Alright, this is our slope formula right here. M is the slope, and to find the slope, you say rise over run equals, and rise is the y's, up and down, run is the across, the x's. So this is the formula, y of the second minus y of the first over x of the second minus x of the first. So this is going to make more sense when we actually do some things with it. Alright, now here we found the slope of this line by looking at it and saying, oh, well the rise is 1 and the run is 3. So my slope then is 1/3, because rise goes on top and run goes on bottom. But there's another way to do it. Sometimes you can't just look at it and tell. This would be a good example. It says find the slope of the line that passes through 2, 4, and 5, -3. Alright, using our slope formula right here, this is y of the second, this is y of the first. This is x of the second, and this is x of the first. So we plug those numbers into our formula. Y of the second is -3. Y of the first is -4. Is 4, but we have minus here. If it were -4, it would be -3 plus 4. And then x of the second is 5, and x of the first is 2, and we do have our minus sign there. When we do the math, -3 minus 4 is -7, and 5 minus 2 is 3. So our slope is actually -7/3. And here's another example. And it might be helpful if you look at rise over run as the change in the y's over the change in the x's. Alright, so here's the gist of it. If we work this by slope formula, alright, this is y of the, and this is x, and let's say this is the second point, and let's say this is the first point. So this is x of the first and y of the first. Should have this down here. None of that looks very good at all. X of the first, and this is y of the first. Now you're going to see by looking at the way it's worked out in this equation and then the way it's worked in this equation, it doesn't really matter which one of these you choose for the first and which for the second, because it's when it works out, it's going to come out the same. Alright, let's say that this 3 here is y of the second, and then minus y of the first is -1. So it would be like saying 3 plus 4. Plus 1 is 4. And then x of the second is 4. X of the first is -2, but you've got this negative here. So 4 plus 2 is 6. 4 over 6 is equal to, when reduced, 2/3. If we switch those points and we have -1 minus 3 and -2 minus 4, we get -4 over -6, which, when reduced, turns out to be positive 2/3, which is the very same thing. All right, let's do your practice problems. A says find the distance between 4, -2, and -4, -4. All right, so the first thing you have to do is graph those points and then draw your triangle off of it. So 4, -2 over 4 down 2 would be right here. And -4, -4, down 4, 1, 2, 3, over 4. And then we've got to connect those dots. That wasn't too good, was it? Let's try going this way and see if that makes it any easier. Maybe a bit. Alright, and then we're going to go down and draw our triangle, which is not nearly as difficult to do. Alright, we're going to look at our rise and then our run. So we're up and down, we're 2. And across we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is 2, this is 8. Now, using our Pythagorean theorem, we can say that 2 and 8 are the two that come together to form the right angle, right here. So 2 squared plus 8 squared equals c squared. This is c, and that's what we're looking for, the distance. 2 squared is 4. 8 squared is 64. That will equal the square root of c. So 68 equals the square root of c. So the square root of 68 would equal c. Now we do need to see if we can factor 68. So let's see, 68 to, that would be 34. And 2, that would be 17. So we can factor that so that we can say that 2 times the square root of 17 is equal to c. Okay, B and C, it says use the slope formula to find the slope of the line that passes through. Alright, slope formula, y of the second minus y of the first over x of the second minus x of the first. Alright, this is y and x, y and x. Alright, the second y is -3 minus the first y is -7 over the second x is -8 minus, and the first x is -4. So what we're really saying is -3 plus 7 over -8 plus 4 equals 4 over -4, which would equal -1. So our slope is -1. And then let's do C. We've got x, y, x, y. Our formula is y of the second minus y of the first over x of the second minus x of the first. Let's plug in our numbers. y of the second is negative 12 minus y of the first is 7. X of the second is negative 14 minus x of the first is 4. Negative 12 minus 7 is negative 19. And negative 14 minus 4 is negative 18. We've got two negatives here, so that would mean our slope is 19 over 18. We're not going to say that it is 1 and 1/18 because the slope has to be in fraction format. Alright, if you have trouble with this, please do ask me questions. You can email me, you can ask me in class, and we'll get together and I'll try to help you. Make sure to write all of this in your notes, in your notebook. I'll see you next time for lesson 99.